Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Debra Lynn, and if it's your first time here, I want to thank you so much for joining me. And if you've been here before, thank you again for tuning in. And if you please would subscribe, that way you'll see all of my videos when I post them. And this week, you're probably going to see quite a few of them because I have the week off. Of course, I've got a ton of projects to do, but I'm hoping to get quite a few paintings in. I might actually be doing some canvas work also. So I'm going to be doing an intuitive piece. Okay? I want to get my mind off of crazy stuff that's flying around in my brain with daily life stuff, such as need to go to the neurologist today kind of stuff. Scary. But anyway, I'm throwing down some Naples yellow red right now. Okay, and this is a Van Gogh. It's a number 224. Okay, so I'm putting this down on a Arches 300-pound cold press paper. And I'm using a 300-pound today because I'm going with 100% watercolor. So I have to build the color in order to get the intensity that I want. If I was to use just 140 pound, I can achieve that if I'm using a lot of almost straight pigment, or if I'm throwing in some acrylics. But I'm going to be using paints that I want to use a little bit more sparingly because they tend to, they're a little bit more pricey. The Van Gogh, not so much. You can get a good price on that. But it's more the Daniel Smith that I'm kind of stingy with and I'm very careful with. So right now I threw down some Cascade Green, okay? And I'm doing it kind of in an angular direction. So I'm keeping that in mind, my composition of how I want this to kind of lay out. So when I'm throwing that paint down, I'm also keeping in mind which direction do I want that to go, okay? So think about your composition. Although I don't really know what I'm going to do, what I'm throwing down kind of will dictate what's going to happen. I didn't even know where this was going to go. And maybe they don't even look like dandelions in the end to you, but to me, that's what they ended up being. So I'm just going in and I'm putting the pigments down, okay? I've got my Naples yellow red down, and then I added some of the transparent yellow medium, and that's number 272 of Van Gogh. And then I go in and I put in some Gambrosian, and that's number 238, I think it is. So, and you can get, you don't have to be using the Van Gogh line. You can be using anything that you have or different yellows you may have. These are just the ones I just randomly picked, because I didn't even know that this was going to end up being dandelions in the end. But right now, I'm going in and I'm kind of just blending things out, okay? There might be little splatters or the edges. I look at those edges, and a lot of them I like to really smooth out. I guess that's just my aesthetic. This corner up here that I'm working on right now, I'm going to build that with more of that Daniel Smith Cascade Green. Want that upper corner to have some color in it, whereas the bottom left corner I'm going to leave white. I like that composition. So it's like if you were to put the painting into a triangle, like if you cut it into a triangle from top left to bottom right, it would be triangular. So I'm just going in with some undersea green. What a beautiful color. I have not used this yet. It was a new one that I purchased. I purchased it a while ago, but I just finally got around to playing around with it. And oh wow, I really, really like it. It's a very, very pretty. I'm weird about greens. They can't be too artificial looking. Otherwise, I don't care for them. But this undersea green is very pretty. It's highly recommend buying that one for sure. So I'm just going in and I'm kind of putting the undersea green in those spots where the little flower buds might be. So it's the bottom section of the flower, and just building it up and putting some stems in, and then also keeping my eye on the outside edges of everything so I don't have any hard edges or blooms or whatever you may want to call them. So I keep my eye on all of that. And as I work, I'm working on a flat surface, and I don't have my paper raised or anything like that. But I am keeping, I'm keeping it flat, but I have a tendency to rotate my paper. I had somebody say to me, "Boy, you turn your paper around a lot." I do a lot of my spinning. Even my sister joked around with me about it. I have to, probably maybe because of my tremors that I have in my hand, I have better control if I spin the paper. Otherwise, I find it difficult sometimes to, like if the paper is up, elevated and stuff like that, it's a little bit more difficult for me. And you'll probably see my shaky hands at work here. I apologize for that. But hey, it helps me. I guess that's why I'm a loose watercolor paper painter. It's because I can't do anything that's too precise. I mean, I can, but it's tedious and it's a little difficult for me. So I'm just going in right now and I'm just cleaning up all those little spots that might be happening. And just building the color. Again, I'm just putting in some more of that Naples yellow red. And as I'm progressing here, I'm starting to see, these are pretty flowers. They're pretty little yellow flowers, but I still don't know what they are. Okay. I'll tell you at what moment they hit me that I realized I was doing dandelions, and it's not quite yet. This is the fun part. You don't know what it's going to be, and then as you're creating, it just evolves. It's just intuitive painting is fun in watercolor. I think it's really fun. I think with acrylics, it's a little bit more, it's different. If you look at intuitive acrylics, it's a completely different thing. Whereas you can't control things with watercolor, and it's going to have a mind of its own, and you kind of have to go along with it. So I think it's a little bit more freeing experience, intuitive watercolor, than acrylic. So if you've never done it, it is so fun. And if you find out that what you've created are just, like, and some people say, just blobs, then you know what? It's a sheet of paper. Grab another sheet of paper and give it another shot. Just keep doing it. Eventually, you'll figure things out. And they might not look great. Not all of my paintings look great. You don't see all of my paintings. Some of them end up cut up into strips that I might do something with it later, or ends up in the garbage. So right now I'm just putting in more of that Cascade green. So as you can see, that upper quarter of that paper, I want to have that undersea green. And I'm bringing it out to the corner, God, I can't talk. Bringing it out to the upper corner, but now I'm kind of just calming it down a little bit. It was a little bit too intense, and I didn't want that. These feel very, as Gene Haynes would say, very atmospheric. So I wanted to keep that feeling that was evolving. And as I go through the rest of this painting, I just continue to keep adding. And I'll let you finish watching the rest of this. And I'm glad you tuned in. Oh, I was going to show you at what point that this started turning into dandelions in my mind. So I was going to let you go there for a moment, but I'm going to stay around for just a few more moments until I show you where this takes off and turns into what I see as dandelions. Now, if you study a dandelion, it looks like the greens kind of go more downward, but mine are a little bit more on the body of it, but that's okay. They still look like dandelions to me. So of course I'm just going back in and I'm still adding more green and controlling it because that paper is wet. 300-pound paper, and I keep adding water and keep adding water, so it is very wet. So I have to go in and I have to control that and just do a little bit of dry brush and push that pigment back and blend it out and add more pigment. So you see the process? Sometimes it's a lot of take away, put back kind of process. It's all about just getting it to the way you see it. That's right there is where dandelions came to my mind. Immediately, as soon as I did that, I noticed what I was doing. I was creating dandelions. So I decided to do that, but what I'm not going to give each bud the look of a dandelion. I'm only going to do just a little bit there, just so that the person that's looking at the painting says, well, what kind of flower is that? You know, I think it's a dandelion, but I'm not sure. So I'm just giving the viewer something to think about. So at this point now, I will let you guys finish watching without me yapping in your ear. Again, thank you so much for tuning in. And again, if it's your first time here and you haven't subscribed yet, please do. Please join my channel, and I'll be posting more videos as I go along. This week, you're going to be seeing a lot out of me. I have the whole week off, so I'm really looking forward to having some studio time. I'm also going to be busy doing some interior designing around my house and painting some furniture, and I wish I could post all that kind of stuff for you guys. Maybe I should start a second channel for all that crazy stuff, because the creativity in me doesn't evolve in watercolors and mixed media. I'm also an interior designer, and I paint furniture, and I sew pillows, and I do all kinds of things. I just have to stay creative. I don't know if you guys have that same kind of thing going on and you're creative, but it just doesn't shut off in me. And the moment I just sit down to relax, I'm usually grabbing an interior design magazine or an art book. I'm always trying to stay educated with improving my skills, and I hope you guys really appreciate everything I'm doing here for you, because sometimes it can be a lot of work to put this all out for you guys, but it's a blessing. It really is a true blessing. I need to do some lives for you guys here. Maybe that'll happen this week. I haven't figured out how to do all that, but it would be nice to tune in with you guys and connect with you. And so anyway, thanks again for tuning in. Please subscribe, and until next time, be blessed and be safe out there. Bye now.